Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Wild Man Revolution podcast. It feels like it's only been a few weeks since I've had our following guest on. But Coel Linnel, how are you, brother? I'm going to get straight into this.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm back in New Zealand.
I won't hold that against you.
I'm back in New Zealand. Oh, I know. You did on the last one.
And I've got straight into this with Coel before I let him unload with quality value like he does. After we recorded the last one, we literally only talk about a tenth of what we were going to talk about. So today's intention is we can take you guys into the realm of investing, precious metals, crypto, digital world, solution focus, all these things, financial education, all this sort of stuff that we scratched the surface with last time, and give you guys some tangible, I won't say guidance, things to go home with, to go away with, where you can immediately apply or make decisions in your life that are for the betterment of your world. Disclaimer, none of this is financial advice. This is purely education and entertainment purposes only. We have to say that, bro.
Mainly entertainment.
100%. Just like our conversations. 2% value, 98% entertainment.
Correct.
Or is it the other way around?
Either. I'm happy.
NZ, man. Like, big moves have gone on in your world. I know it was only recently we did jump on the podcast and have a chat, but of course we chat in between all these things. You're back to New Zealand, the health and fitness world, changes made there, things coming to an end. Do you just want to start the podcast with that? Because I think it's important.
Yeah, I suppose it is a good place to start. I mean, last podcast we talked about, what Steve just talked about, but basically a bit of my journey and where I was heading towards, and now I'm there. So I'm in New Zealand. I'm solidified. I'm living back at home, the humble abode, as I like to call it, where it all started, where I was brought up. And it's really, really, for me, it's been really humbling, and it's really brought me back down to earth. It's really helped me ground my feet. It's really helped me reconnect with the land. And, I think that's really important, and things that people don't focus on is on that spiritual level as well. It's allowed me to reconnect with the things that are most important, meaning the home, the land, and the sea. And for me, we were brought up around the ocean, and I won't live anywhere else but close to the ocean. So what I've noticed since I've been back, there's a couple of things I've noticed since I've been back, and I really want to touch on this, is just the air, and the air that we breathe and all that sort of stuff. And around me is just surrounded by birds and trees and stuff like that, and it's allowed me to feel healthier. So I feel better every day I wake up. I feel at ease. I don't feel stressed or anxious or tired or run down. And I put that down to the cleaner air, not living in the city, and just being able to, I guess, express myself better, because I can turn up when I want to turn up, not because I have to turn up. So I think there's been a lot of changes. One of them being me being able to ground my feet, but also being able to, work from where I want to work. Right now, I'm sitting in my uncle's house because he's got a media room, and I felt it was better. It was going to be a better place to do this podcast. But look, there's been lots of things changed, Steve, and I think the main thing that I wanted to touch on was I always wanted what I have now and more, but now I have the ability to work from home, and to be location free, so I can kind of work from anywhere that has a Wi-Fi connection. And it's been a dream of mine for over 7 years now. And one thing about the fitness industry is I loved being a coach, and I talked about in the last podcast, 11 years I've been a coach. And I tell you what, like I really enjoyed it, but one thing it did restrict me of is my time freedom, and the ability to kind of work when I feel like working, or work when I want to apply myself. And I just got kind of tired of working in four walls. I wanted to expand myself. I wanted to push myself, grow myself, and be able to help more and impact more people all around the globe. And that's happening on a daily basis now, which is exciting.
It's freeing, and as men, this is one of the things you know this, you understand this, and you're just giving a great example of that bit of freedom in your life. We value freedom highest of all. And so many times we make decisions to keep us trapped in our jobs or our careers, a relationship that's not working or not aligned, trapped in our own limitations, really. But you weren't coming from something that was really restricted. You were passionate about it. You loved it. You were good at it, but you valued freedom more. You needed more freedom. You needed more expansion. I was one thing I've been doing a lot of lately, and I've been the location free for a while, but for me, it was grounding into a house for the last couple of years. But I am like, I don't have to be here. I choose to be here now. I have all the freedom in the world right now. I literally get to design each and every minute of each and every day. And it is so liberating being able to do that. Now, it doesn't mean I don't have challenges. It doesn't mean I don't have things that go wrong, or it doesn't mean I make silly decisions or make poor choices. It just means that it's coming from a place of, like, how can I be in my joy today? How can I serve today from a place of me being happy or me being free? Even on the golf course the other day, I'm like, got off the golf course and I'm like, dude come up to me with one hole to go, and it was slow as shit. I was getting to the 18th hole. It was just before I come off the golf course, and he goes, "Oh, you can go through on this hole." He goes, "I apologize for being so slow. It's people in front, people." And like, I don't give a fuck. I just made 15K today, man. And he's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, man. Like, I just had a couple of conversations and closed the sale and this and that." And he's like, I said, "Man, I don't give a fuck if you take 3 hours to play this last hole." But it was this example to me is like, I've got this freedom to be. I don't have to be anywhere. I don't have to do this. Yes, I've got responsibilities in that. The listeners, I'm glad this came in at the start of the podcast. I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but it is so important for men and women both to know that we have a natural birthright to be totally free in this world, this lifetime. But it is down to our choices and decisions. Most people are caught at the effects like, "Oh, I don't have a choice. Oh, I wish I could do that." It takes work.
And there's something I want to add to that as well. Like, if you think it's easy, it's not. It's not easy. There's so many bumps in the road. There's so many hurdles that need to be overcome to get to, or to create that life by your own design. And like Steve's saying, it's liberating. When you get there, it's liberating. And it doesn't mean I'm all the way there, but I'm well on that path.
Yeah.
And I might be a little bit further down the path than some of the listeners that are listening to this, but our job is to inspire you and motivate you to create change. Because a lot of people are out there sitting there wondering what their next steps are. And like Steve said, being on the golf course, like I've since I've been home, some of the things I've ticked off since I've been home, the amount of seafood I've eaten is incredible. And I shared some of this stuff with Steve, actually. Big plates of snapper and, all sorts of stuff, stuff that I did as a kid. Fishing, netting for fish. And I know that this will light Steve up, because I know that's that wild man in him. But, fishing, hunting, and just applying myself to the things that make me feel good. And in the current moment, like, doing this podcast makes me feel good because it's going to inspire more people. But some days I feel like, I just want to go fishing, or I just want to go out on the farm with Dad, or I just want to apply myself here and take a step back from here. Because it's understanding that every day that I wake up, the first thing that I think in my head is I need to better myself so I can better other people. So I need to apply myself before I apply myself to other people. So I need to apply myself to this current moment before I apply myself to other people.
Yeah, it's one of the things, and my beautiful queen Chaitanya lives by this. It's like joy. When she's in doing things that bring her the most joy, when she's in her joy, that's when she's functioning best. And if we are here to help people like we are, and we're coming from a place of this is hard, I have to, this is heavy, that's what's going to actually be felt and replicated. You're still going to be able to help people. And I'm sure you've been there before where you're like, I don't want to go to the fucking gym today. I don't want to fucking do this today because I feel like shit or whatever. But when you get to a point where you're like, actually, I choose to go out in the wild. I choose to go fishing. I choose to do this. Yes, I have responsibilities, but I'm going to do things that light me up. And then I come from that place. You are so much more impactful. So much more impactful. Like the work I do, I only get paid if I help people. That's the only other. So if I'm bringing my joy, and some days I'm on a golf course, and yes, or my other areas of life are working and functioning well, I'm not avoiding shit by being on the golf course, then that is resonant with the people I'm helping. And that freedom. I'm going to read something, man. I'm sure you're going to like this. I knew that this had to come up on the podcast.
I like everything that you say. Well, not everything.
Oh, well, not everything.
Most things. Before you say this, I just want to add something to what you've just said. The one thing that I've noticed in society now is people, and I love this analogy, people walk around like they're wearing a weight vest. They've accumulated so much shit into their life that they're walking around with a weight vest. And when you said that word heavy, it made me think of this. They're walking around consistently with this weight of other people's shit on their shoulders. And they just need to take that weight vest off. And it's just when you do that, it's liberating.
Yeah.
It's totally liberating.
And to let the listeners know, the viewers know that we have the choice to take it off, and we can take it off. We don't have to function with it heavy. And that's the work. It is. It's the inner work and the outer work. I'm going to read this. I shared this on my Facebook this morning because it was something I really love this guy. He expresses things that my brain knows and understands, but never is able to put words to. His name is Elon Marcus. You could call him a modern day philosopher. He's definitely someone who gives a really, really powerful voice to men, masculine energy, this sort of thing. I'll read this. Masculine men heal through building, producing, conquest, and death. Masculine men correct their wounds through obtaining power in the natural world of their space and adjusting boundaries and law to course correct harmful elements orbiting in their world. This is the masculine men form of therapy and healing, a concept that the mainstream hyper-liberal feminine lending mental health industry refuses to accept. This is why I resonate with him, because he throws a bit of in there. Men don't want to talk it out. They want to straighten it out. And this is our natural inkling to fix things. There's a healthy aspect to it. So I'll say that again. Men don't want to talk it out. They want to straighten it out. Men don't want to change their belief systems to something totally foreign to their natural impulses. They want to conform their world to their true and unfiltered vision. Masculine men don't want to be soy boys. They want to die as men, even if broken. They want to die on the truth of their brokenness, standing tall, not hollowed in a hole of checking their alleged toxic masculinity with people who have no idea how the world works beyond their air-conditioned first world office and talking points from outdated and misaligned textbooks. Controlled environments with simulations are fake. This is where this gets to the crux of why I want to share this. The above environments are fish tanks. The tribe of a masculine man doesn't benefit from fish tank belief systems. Masculine men crave and belongs in the wild, the ocean, the global marketplace, the politics of power. Masculine men are obsessed with placing their tribe on the throne, even at the expense of their comfort. I read that this morning. I needed to read it again because the wild part definitely spoke to me. But when you're talking about like coming back to New Zealand, grounding, going fishing, netting, doing things that light you up, doing things that they have a benefit to the tribe too. You would do that. You would go out into nature, into the wild to do this. Is speaking to me directly. It's something that is becoming more, I think, relevant in these days. The exact example you've given, going home, going back to your roots, getting your feet on the ground and doing the things. Again, I think fishing and hunting is just a simple example to use. But
yeah, totally.
100%. Totally. And I think it even segues into what we're going to talk about, because here's the thing with us men and women too. I don't want to take it out, but this is the Wild Man Revolution podcast.
True story. That's a true story.
The global marketplace. That's the wild. It's the fucking jungle. And for some men, that's their playground. That's where they get their joy. That's where I know you and I have a portion of this too, man.
Totally.
So what did you take from any of that? There is a bit in there which I love. He loves to, it's polarizing. He loves to point the finger and raise some energy or some triggers in people. But
I think it's more just the awareness. I think it's a lot of people don't dive deep. They just sit up on the surface, and they sit up on the surface and they don't kind of dive deep and really start to understand the reasons maybe why. They never question why, or then it's too confronting. It's too confronting for a lot of. I'm just going to say people in general. I'm not even going to go male or female here. I'm just going to go people in general struggle to go deep because it's too confronting, and they feel that there's some sort of like headbutting or this wall or this invisible wall that they put up or this mask that they put on that really stops them from breaking through, and that kind of was that was definitely quite long, that phrase that you ran through, but there was points that I was taking out of it and I was like, it makes sense. Yeah. A lot of it does make sense, and it is applicable to the now. So it's what's happening now. If you look around you, there's a lot of things that I've become aware of since being home, and how the world kind of is moving very slowly out of these things that is crazy shit that's going on in the world, and people are starting to slowly wake up. But as I look around, I still feel that people are trapped because of their choices, and they just do it because based on what we talked about in the last podcast. It's like it's hardwired, and it's fucking hard to unwire that hard wiring. It's so hard, it's just layered in and pushed into their being.
Yeah.
Stripping that away, and sometimes stripping that away can be taking yourself away from the media, the social media, the general mainstream media, which we understand that's a load of bullshit. But you have to make the decision to take yourself out of that scenario and into a place where you're not exposed to that type of information. You're exposed to the wilderness. You're exposed to, the things that you enjoy. So
yeah,
that's what I took from that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, and the one line again: masculine men crave and belongs in the wild. And the wild can be anything, whatever lights you up, whatever brings you joy. And that word crave, freedom, it's what we all crave deep down. Look at the last couple of years. The big marches or the protests, what do you want to call them? People want freedom, and people are just starting to acknowledge that's all they want.
I think when people say that they don't want it, or it's not really a desire, I think deep down they're just telling themselves a lie. And I'm pretty straight up when I say this, because when you have it, then you'll understand it. Just because you haven't had it, when you have a taste of it, you will not go back.
Yeah, 100%.
You will not go back, and you'll do fucking anything or everything in your power to take it back.
Yeah.
Right. So that's facts.
I can give 100 examples of the last 5-7 years since being an entrepreneur and all that sort of thing, where I can say, hey, there's big risks that we've taken, which put us way out of our comfort zone, way out of our financial comfort and all these sorts of things. But when we got to that step, we just played a bigger game. We're like, we're not going back to that because this is fucking way better. And we're like, we're not going back. And we fought and we fight tooth and nail. We have our challenges and we still do this now. Like, I can give a tangible example. Places we live in now. Like, when the Rona went down, we had to go back into a little apartment that cost $350 a week. And because we couldn't run events, we couldn't do anything, we were struggling to make that work because everything stopped. Without giving a number now, we're in a place that is way higher than that. But to get to that point, we needed to stretch ourselves. We needed to take what we thought was financial risks and all this. But as soon as we got in the bigger place or the more aligned place, we're like, we're not letting this fucking thing go. We're going to do whatever we can to not only pay for this, what's next? What's bigger?
Totally. And you know, that goes back to the old saying is, do as they do, not as they say. Do as they do, not as they say. So, you know, the wealthy of the world, and I know I want to move straight into this. I'm just going to segue straight in. Just straight in there, you know, on my electric scooter. But, you know, so the bottom line really is do as they do, not as they say, right? And a lot of people do as they say. And that's a big mistake, and it's a web of destruction, because one thing leads to another, that leads to another, leads to another, that leads to destruction. So you're always wanting to do as they do, right? It's not highlighted what they do, but these are the secrets of the wealthy. These are the secrets that you need to find out, you need to get educated, and you need to get plugged in so that you are ahead of the game. Because when the blood is on the streets, that's when the money's made. That's when the wealth's created, you know, and that's where you can secure yourself and your family is when we go through a financial crisis. And that's what's happening right now.
Well, you could perceive what we're in right now as a financial crisis, but I'm pretty sure you're sitting there and I'm sitting here, like, we are not in crisis. Yeah. When you say the blood in the streets, as soon as the blood comes in the streets, yes, it raises the inner temperature of the emotion, but boils up. It's like, oh, fuck, here we go. And yes, because we help people in that, we do feel the energy of other people, the fear and the anxiety, and like, oh my God, the markets are doing this, the prices are going down. Oh my God, what's going on? The world's going to fucking end. But having some things in place, and I think this is the key to this too. So you're prepared for when there is blood on the streets. This period that we're in right now is what has the potential to set us up for a lifetime. It really does. Do you want to go a little bit more into anything around the markets and stuff? Like,
yeah, totally. I mean, if to break it down to you, like, and I know that Steve's it, we might even pull some charts up in a second, but I think to give you a basic breakdown based on, you know, the analysis that I've built over the years since I started off in the cryptocurrency space in late 2016, and we said that we would touch on this stuff in the last podcast, and, you know, I really have built myself to a stage where, like, I've become slightly ignorant, to be honest, when it comes to when this type of thing happens. I already know what's happening, so I don't freak out, I don't wig out, I don't lose my shit. I just focus on, okay, what do I need to do through the next month, or through the next 2 months, or 3 months, or whatever the period I'm working from. I look at, okay, what do I need to do? How do I need to show up? What can I focus on in the next month? And, you know, that might be, for instance, at the moment, my strategy. And I'm not going to give you too many golden nuggets, but my strategy at the moment is about smart, long-term wealth accumulation. Smart, long-term wealth accumulation. Now, you can write that down if you want to, But it doesn't matter about the market. It doesn't matter about which market you're talking about, gold and silver market. It doesn't matter if you're talking about cryptocurrency, right? What we're doing is accumulating assets on a regular frequency, right? So more often, we're doing it more often, okay? We're doing those 1%ers more often, and we're doing it, some of it's on autopilot, some of it's not, okay? But generally, we're automating our wealth long term, and we're doing that in the crypto space. We do that in the gold and silver space. So, for instance, every week I buy $50 to $100 of Bitcoin. Right? We're going to talk about Bitcoin, and I'm going to hand it over back to Steve because I know he's chafing at the bit. He's a Bitcoin maxi. He loves the Bitcoin. You know.
All right, cool. I am going to bring up a chart because it ties in perfectly with what you're talking about this. It's a simple strategy. This is, I think, you know what I think when it comes to investing markets, that people overcomplicate the shit out of it. They let their emotions get involved, and they're not going to be in it for the long term with that. But if you have a look, it is a proven strategy to just accumulate long term. It goes back for eons, dollar cost averaging in $100 a week. What scares people is not the markets. It is their lack of understanding of how they can actually accumulate. It's their lack of patience, these sorts of things. I'll get the screen up. I think Bitcoin's a great one to break it down.
Well, I agree. And the thing that people need to understand, Steve, the way you're bringing this chart up, I want to touch on this. One asset is one asset. One asset is one asset. It doesn't matter what the price is. It doesn't matter because it's correlated. It's correlated against something that's unstable. The US dollar is unstable because they continue to print more money. They continue to print more currency, which means the purchasing power of the dollar is decreasing. So Bitcoin is correlated against the US dollar. So if you're really wanting to accumulate assets, disclaimer, we're not telling you to do anything. But what I do from a personal standpoint is I look at it as one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin, regardless of the price. One ounce of silver, 1 ounce of silver, right? 1 ounce of gold is 1 ounce of gold. That's fact.
What I'll show, I've got the Bitcoin chart here. I've just got a weekly chart now. I'm not going to break down how to use a chart. That's not the point of this. It's just a visual to back up what we're talking about here. And Bitcoin is, I think it's the easiest to break down when we can see not only what you were just saying then, as like our measuring tool at the moment for Bitcoin is like, oh, I've got it in US dollars. But the US dollar in the last 2.5 years, where's 2.5 years? 2.5 years. Oh, wait, what's that? We go back to Rona right here. So here's the price, this little green line of what the Bitcoin versus the US dollar has done since March 2020, 2.5 years. Did you know, I know you know this, Coel, that they have printed off trillions of dollars since then. So if they're printing off this invisible new money, adding to the total supply of the US dollar, as you said, Coel, it brings the purchasing power of the US dollar down. Now, if we look, put that aside, just keep that in the little memory bank for a second. If we look at this volatility to the upside and the downside of Bitcoin, this is Bitcoin, all right? I'll go back through the years and show you the cycles in a moment, but it's a hardcore ride. There's some big percentages. What do we got here as I just use a couple of measuring tools from when the Rona was announced. Boogeyman has arrived. We had a bull run of 1,800%. Oh, everyone's licking their chops with that. It's like, yeah, Bitcoin forever, Bitcoin in the moon.
Yeah, totally.
With no
Lambo.
strategy,
Hashtag Lambo.
with no strategy, no nothing. What happens next? No strategy, no nothing. Well, we're buying here. It's going to 100K. It's going to there. Not saying it's not going to in the future, but oh shit, the next couple of months, what happened? Oh no, down 56%. Oh, that's over half. Oh, this is scary, especially if you're tuning in the propaganda. But then we go on this run again and we hit the top of the market. And then we got this scattered all the way back down. We're down to here. But they've printed 80% more money in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
80%. All right, let's have a look at something. From the top of the Bitcoin price measured in US dollars to where we are now, 68%. So if you just measured it as I have 1 Bitcoin, that's what I have. I'm not measuring in US dollars. You've still got a Bitcoin on top. You've still got a Bitcoin here. The purchasing power of that Bitcoin is probably really similar to what it was at the top of the market.
Correct. Correct. And the reason for that is like what Steve's saying is you can't measure it against something that doesn't have any physical backing. It's impossible. It makes no sense. You know, just because the US dollar is the reserve currency does not mean it's a good measuring stick. It's not a very good measuring stick. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, look how low Bitcoin is. Well, 1 Bitcoin is 1 Bitcoin, regardless. If you're correlating it back to the US dollar, you're in it for the wrong reason. You need to, this is where strategy is key, right? There's always a method behind the madness. And, you know, this is where we're talking about people operating on the surface level and not doing the work. And the work is you need to have a strategy. And it has to be long term. It has to be long term.
Yeah. And this is just a simple overview of this, guys. Like, it's really, really simple. And the thing that people I see struggle with, and it is a tough one to grasp, it's a paradigm shift here. It's like understanding that we have been conditioned and programmed to measure everything in US dollar, Australian dollar, wherever country we were. That's how we've been there. But if you want to really mess with that sort of programming for a moment, and then this ties into the inflation, it ties into this sort of stuff, but it also can ground you into what we're talking about here. They've printed all this money in the last few years, on top of what the trillions of invisible IOU bullshit money they've printed in the decades before. Backed by nothing. It's just a promise of nothing. But anyway, go to the grocery store today. I can guarantee that 99% of you know that when you fill 1 shopping bag now, that it probably costs you 50, 60, 70 bucks. Go back to here, or a little bit before. It was 2 shopping bags, if not 2.5.
Yeah.
Maybe 3. I know this because in this process here, I started to complain. I'm like, hey, Steve, get your gear in order. Stop complaining and appreciate. Make more fucking money. And this is the thing with this.
Bitcoin Open up the abundance portal.
Yeah, I stand there in the supermarket. Open up the abundance portal.
Yeah. I do it all the time, but I'm not in the supermarket, though. Not in the supermarket.
Don't want to know, man.
I've got clothes on, though. I do have clothes. I'm not that bad.
Gold. Here's the thing. Like, there's a lot of talk about inflation on there. All them numbers are bullshit anyway. It's all part of the propaganda. It's all part of, hey, our system's broken and we're actually going to admit it now, but we're going to admit it in a way that, it's not our fault. Inflation's too high. It's because of this war. It's because of this guy. It's because of Putin. It's because of oil. It's because of the fucking climate. Read the Great Reset, guys. Read the Great Narrative. It's all coming. But Bitcoin was created in first and foremost, no matter who created it, because of it's like a hedge for inflation. Read the white paper. That's why it was created.
The other reason, and the reason, and I want to go into this as well, as while we're on that topic of why it was created, it was not created to be centralized. It was created for the people, by the people, for the people, right? Well, we don't know if it was by the people.
We don't know. We could be wrong, by the way, guys.
It could be one. It could be wrong. Hey, everybody's got to be able to admit they're wrong at some time, at some stage, right? But for the people, by the people, question mark by that, by the way. So, it's a hedge against inflation. It's a great place to park your money well, we're going through this time, and a great way to do that, again, smart long-term wealth accumulation strategy, dollar cost averaging. But people have been doing it for years and years and years. Okay, the biggest problem that's happening is not what's happening in the market. It's not inflation. It's people's discipline. Their disciplinary habits. They make more money. They spend more money. They earn more. They spend more. They earn more. They tax more. It's education. They don't understand the importance of discipline. Look, I'll tell you that this is the truth. And this is hard to hear for a lot of people, but really, a lot of people need to hear it. It's confronting. It's confronting. The discipline is that people really, really struggle to save, right? So when you switch your mindset to an investing mindset, right? You're investing in your future. Everything starts to change, right? And you put your money into something, or you put your dollars into something that you know that has potential, but you put your dollars into something that you know you're not going to touch. You're not gonna liquidate it. You can liquidate it, but you don't want to liquidate it. You know, and there's a couple of different places that we'll talk about in a second that you can place it, or you can, what we've done personally, not what you have to do, or we're not encouraging you to do anything, but, or advising you to do anything, but we're just going to share what we believe.
Yeah.
Is a cool place.
I've got one out there, yeah. While I've got this, I've just brought up from the Rona, let's say, 2.5 years. It's when they got announced Black Thursday or whatever it was, all markets crashed. Massive crashes, That's that red line there. I've just gone like in a straight line. If you look in a line, we're still up 555% in Bitcoin. If you're parking your money there from then, and let's be real, that's the bottom of the market to the top. Anyone can measure that. But what we're talking about, if you're accumulating the amount of Bitcoin you have across this time, all different prices, by the time you get to here, even if your buy-in price is the same, it's never going to be the same as that back there. Never. Now, it might be a bit higher than this right now, but you've got 10 times the amount of Bitcoin. And if they've printed 80% more money in this time, when the financial system totally collapse, and it'll still be some sort of dollar that is a measuring tool, but it's going to be backed by something. There's going to be some substance to it, whether it's some sort of gold reserves or silver or like Bitcoin, scarcity, because that's how Bitcoin is valuable. While people want it, there's only going to be 21 million, or there's a bunch that are lost. There's probably less than that. When the last fork happens, which dictates the cycle, when that happens, there's only going to be 21 million of them. And if people are utilizing this as some of the reasons we've mentioned, somewhere to park their wealth, somewhere to, you can use it as a currency. Like I think it's still great. People are going, it's too slow. The tech's not that good, but hey,
it has utility. It has utility.
Has plenty of utility. Yeah, the Lightning Network, all these things. It's not going anywhere if people want it because it's got utility. So
I'll tell you a funny story while we're on utility. Actually, I remember, back in about, I think it was late 2017, where I was still in the learning process of cryptocurrency, and my dad, he thought it was funny. He thought it was a hard case that I was buying Bitcoin and I was trading in it, and I was spending it. And now, as I look back, I was like, oh, damn it, I shouldn't have spent that Bitcoin, But at that time, I really needed. I was actually struggling financially, and I actually needed to keep me afloat. And I'm grateful that I did have it. Because it got me through that tough time in my life, which I spoke about again on the last podcast. Yeah. So if you haven't watched the last podcast, make sure you go back and watch the last podcast. That's a quick plug for you.
There you go.
But yeah, I was buying. I would go down and we'd go down. We're having we're having beers down the pub, and this is a funny story. We're like, oh, Coel, you're all shit. Bitcoin, you can't buy. use that to buy beers. And I was like, want a beer?
Mm-hmm.
And I walk up there and buy the beers of the Bitcoin. And that was an ongoing joke for a while, oh, just use your Bitcoin card, But I think people don't understand the true utility and usability of cryptocurrency. And, how there's no intermediary, or if there is, if you were to call the blockchain the intermediary, then that would be the intermediary.
Yeah. Again, like anything that we have, if someone wants it, if someone desires it, they're going to get it. And if someone's willing to sell it, well, if it becomes more scarce, what's going to happen to the value of it? What this is a paradigm shift in how we utilize and transfer value, what we perceive as value. Now, I see a lot in society going back, we should just go back to bartering and all this sort of stuff. There's an element of truth to that, yes, but we all perceive and value things differently. And the more utility something has, the more usability it has, the better use case it has, the more valuable it's going to be to more people. And that's what I see just with Bitcoin in its current form, with the Lightning Network and everything coming in. Spending it, I spend crypto every day. Like, seriously, I literally had a saying called living off Litecoin. Now, that's part of my strategy, because I also have the strategy of accumulating long-term, holding long-term. I've just drawn another green line back here because you touched on 2017. Now, if you want any more on the cycles and everything of the crypto markets, guys, because Coel and I have other stuff to go into, which is super relevant, but the 2 earlier podcasts with Luki Mikic, I've got him coming up in early August as well, where we're going to go into cycles and the Bitcoin fork and all that, and why this is important. But the point of having this chart up again now, just to quickly go through, 2017 was when most people become aware of crypto. There's the big rise. That was huge then. Back to then, we got to 20K US, thereabouts. Then it went all the way down to the bear market. Oh, we come up and then all the way down. We're doing the same thing here, guys, but it's way bigger, way more money, way higher value. In hindsight, like what Coel said, now, I was in way back here, somewhere like, I think it was September 2014. If I shoulda, coulda, woulda with my fucking Bitcoin, holy shit. But again, as Coel and myself both, this is the way we've gone about. We've learned some lessons on the journey, guys. We've made some choices and decisions. We didn't know that this was going to happen. Mind you, I did get into crypto knowing it was going to be a massive thing. Massive thing. And I think we haven't even scratched the surface. But this same thing, what we're going through, this dip right, say this is now. But this was February 2019, and we were accumulating from here, way down to the bottom. There we go. There's March 2020, that huge thing. We're accumulating all the way through here. Imagine you were doing the same here. Same here, same here. For what we've already shared all the way.
Just do the simple things and do them on a regular basis. That's the key.
And a saying I love, and this is, I don't know if it's Warren Buffett or one of the old school investors has got billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars. It's like, history never repeats, but it rhymes. So this is not history repeating this year. But what's a rhyme? Sounds similar, looks similar.
Yeah.
With the Bitcoin fork and the cycle, let's prove my point here. 2017 and 2021, the peak. What happened in 2014? Holy shit. What's going on here? Price wasn't as high, but look at that run up. Holy shit. History doesn't repeat, but whoa, looks pretty similar. So in a couple of years' time, what do you think is going to happen if history rhymes and you're accumulating and you're being patient? Let's get rid of the chart. That's enough chart.
I think patience is something that we can talk about, just while you get rid of the chart.
Patience, and I think what goes with it is discipline.
Patience, discipline, persistence. You have to be persistent. You have to be persistent, and you have to be consistent with your approach. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. The method just doesn't work. The long-term strategy, it doesn't work.
Yep.
And that's just a matter of you understanding that discipline's a key and making sure that you, on a regular basis, you think of this and you're in your mind, and it goes back to the old what Robert Kiyosaki brought out, the cash flow quadrant, and those two sides. And as you move over from the employee side over to the investor, as you move over in that cash flow quadrant, and if you guys haven't read that book, there's another plug. Rich Dad Poor Dad, and talking about the cash flow quadrant and moving, that shift in your mind and creating discipline around your saving habits. And the discipline that you can create can be, that instead of saving in dollars that are not, appreciating in value, they're losing value every day, you're saving in assets. The mindset thing.
Yeah, it is a mindset. And it's like the strategy, the plan. Like most people will go, they can't implement the strategy because they're not connected to their goals or the desired outcome. And a lot of the thing, like away with, I showed you literally, let's forget that was a Bitcoin chart. What if that was a timeline and you already have the end goal in sight? A lot of people aren't clear on their end goal, or their end goal they want to happen in 6 months or 12 months. So when they come up with a strategy, it's like instant gratification. And if they don't get instant gratification, they don't stick to it. And it takes discipline to not only sit down and go, yeah, hey, in 20 years, I'm going to touch this money. Well, that money, 5 million in digital, 2 million in precious metals, whatever asset, a home, a fucking ship, a yacht, whatever it is that you find that is going to grow what you perceive as value and wealth in 20 years, you get clear on that. It takes a strategy, which is actually easy to map out when you do the numbers.
It goes without saying. It's the same as when you're building a business. You got to go, right? You go to the end goal, the outcome, and you reverse engineer it back.
Yeah.
You need to do the same thing and have the same approach here. It's like, okay, potentially, when are you going to liquidate? When are you going to withdraw yourself from the market? You need to understand when that's going to be and maybe what price point you might exit the market, and then reverse engineer back. How much do I need to apply myself every week, every month, whatever it might be, depending on, your strategy? How often do I need to apply myself to make this end goal, this outcome, a reality?
Yeah, it's a journey, seriously. Even if your goal was 5 years from now, and again, going back to the Bitcoin chart, what if that was just a timeline? It's just like, okay, cool. I'm back in 2013. I've got a 7-year, 8-year goal. 2022, 9-year goal. 2022, I have a target of having this amount of money. I know there's going to be bumps. I know there's going to be ups. I know there's going to be downs, but I'm sticking to this strategy. Most people won't stick to a strategy that long because they don't work on the mindset. They don't work on the things that come up that are presented with them and grounded to go, no, I'm not touching that. They don't have the discipline. Again, this is not rocket science. This is so fucking easy. The hard part, or the part people make, is what we're talking about. Like sticking to this stuff, learning some skills on the way. I brought up a chart there. Now, I didn't get into crypto to be a trader or anything like that. I can trade. I don't like it. It takes up too much time and energy, but I've got it as a skill. So it helps me when I'm, okay, aside from getting support from someone who is experienced and in their genius and has the result that I would like, I've got some skills that I've learned on the way as I've unlearned other shit on the way that now I can apply to rejig my strategy, to improve it, to make it better, to go, oh, actually, I've hit my goals earlier, or my goals are bigger, but now I've got some skills that I can back myself a bit more that I'm competent in, apply them skills, and this becomes easier.
I think that one of the other things that people really struggle with, and I think is relevant to what you're talking about, is offloading so that you can reload. And I'm talking about skills here, offloading the shit that you don't need and then loading up on the things that you need and compounding those good habits, compounding those good skills to the point where you become so skillful and you have that much applied knowledge that you can, you could pick it up and trade, but you choose not to.
Yeah.
You choose not to do it. You have the skill, you choose not to because maybe it's something you don't, it doesn't really light you up. Maybe it's, you want to spend more time with your kids and you don't want to trade all day and be in front of the screen. I mean, we're going to be in front of the screen for another probably 20 or 30 minutes, but, we wouldn't want to be in front of the screen all day, right? So it's just having choice. It's definitely offload to reload.
Yeah. Yeah. I pay other people to sit in front of a screen, which is good and feels good. And that works as part of my strategy.
Yeah, totally. I'm on that wagon. I'm in that boat, bro. I'm in that boat.
Yeah. And just because we're talking about Bitcoin and stuff here, guys, we're just using it as an example with something that's really relative and in our face right now with this paradigm shift. You can apply any of this stuff we're talking about in anything. It doesn't even have to be accumulating assets, the mindset, any goals you have. There's always some sort of plan or strategy that needs to unfold, and you need to put some intent into it. You need to give it some energy. You need to give it some thought and focus. You need to give it some emotion too. Otherwise, you'll never get to that end goal. Never, ever. And it'll be a shoulda, coulda, woulda, and we're not about shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Yeah, totally. And I think people sit on the fence a lot with this sort of stuff as well. So gaining clarity on what you're doing is really important. And, it has to be crystal clear. If it's not crystal clear, then, I wouldn't apply it myself.
No.
It has to be crystal clear and in stone that this is what you're going to do, or you are doing, should I say. I'm doing it, right? I'm going to apply this strategy and I'm going to stick to it. I will stick to it long term. And, focusing on that long term is key. And what I've felt and what I've experienced, Steve, is definitely that people, they come in and a lot of the time they actually overcommit and then they have to liquidate because they've overcommitted. You've got to do it the smart way, smart long-term wealth accumulation strategy. Okay, it's so important to understand that, and the essence behind that.
What do you say to the people that say you shouldn't buy and hold in crypto for long term?
Generally, I ask them, the first thing I'll ask them is, when they come to me, the first thing I need to establish is why. Why are they getting involved in cryptocurrency? How long have they been wanting to do it? And what sort of things they've thought, or what sort of things they've done already in the space. If they're completely green, then it's something that I explore with them, something we talk a little bit deeper on, because there's a lot of emotion that's brought to this market because of the volatility, and people become very receptive to that emotion. So they connect the emotion to the volatility of the market, and they go, "Oh my God, the market's dropping! Oh my God, the market's increased! Oh my God!" So they start freaking out. Yeah. They're either freaking out or they're excited. So there's this FOMO attached. So for somebody new, it's giving them a really, really simple outline of what they're looking to do long term.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same. And people come in like, again, not giving financial advice or anything like this, but I think when people come in green, and it is the majority of people, they're given two options. Just buy and hold forever, buy and hold forever. There's never talked about a strategy, never talked about that, or trade. That's what I see. So when people generally I have a conversation to, if they're new to the space, they think they've got to trade and they don't want to learn. And then they're like, what does even buy and hold mean? Like, what goes up and down all the time? Why would I hold it when it's going down? Why wouldn't I just sell at the top? I'm like, well, because you need to learn a skill, which is trade. And when you unpack this with people and they really see that it does take work with this, the people that I see a lot, especially in the media or social media, and say, oh, I should never buy and hold. Look how much volatile it goes down. I always ground in and like, unless you're going to learn a skill, buying and hold is still a smart strategy. Accumulation is still a ridiculously smart strategy forever. If you lock it away, this is a little segue, and I think this is going to be really quick. Where do we keep our digital assets or even some of our other assets? I just brought out this, like I've been playing with this thing a lot lately. And what I mean by play, brings me lots of joy. That's a Ledger Nano X. There's a bunch of different ones out there that I know trust. Tracer. There's a good one that my mate Luki Mikic recommends. Will probably pop up on our next podcast that we do, where you can keep your keys to these digital assets in the safest place, I believe anyway, unless you got a habit of losing shit, in your hands. Because with current climate, Celsius, we touched on that before the call a little bit. I'm not going to dive into that because there's so many different things with it. But these places that were once deemed safe for our assets or anything like that, they're not as, they're more risky now. Still not more risky than a fucking bank. But where would you like, where do you keep some of your assets? Don't tell us a specific room where you keep your safe either. Or your address.
For me, it's in a safe, secure place. It's one thing. If they're digital, I have them in a decentralized wallet, right, where I hold the keys to those specific wallets. And the wallet keys that I do have, or the harmonic, the phrases or whatever, I write them down twice, and I put them in a safe, secure place. Some of them are in different places. I put one in one place and another in another place. So if it doesn't work out in one spot, you got it in another spot, right?
Yeah.
It's like having two options. So with my physical assets that I have on hand, obviously in a safe, obviously just don't disclose where that safe is, and you just go from there. Some of them are online and backed by real inventory, so vaulted, and they're in the US and Idaho, and I can liquidate them at any time. So
you're talking precious metals there, yeah?
Yeah, that's precious metals. Yeah, so that's precious metals. So I mainly have crypto and precious metals. I've been looking at just recently. I've been looking at property. That's the next thing that we're going to go to. Okay, food, land, and water.
Water's a good trade in Australia. Holy shit, they've pre-sold so much of our water. That's a rabbit hole that I don't think anyone's really ready for.
I know.
Ooh. Anyway, liquid gold. Did you want to? We've been going a while, man, and like any of this stuff that we talk about, and I think this is why I'll definitely get you back on, because there are so many things that you could dive into and so many tangents that are really relevant. We've touched a bit on having strategy in current times. Again, we're not talking about anything that's brand new. We're not, hey, holy shit, Coel just talked about the first ever strategy. This is the first time I've heard this. This is some miracle strategy. Holy shit, Steve I've never heard that. No, this stuff is not new. What's new is the mindset that you need to have and the commitment you need to make to yourself to make something like this work for you. And it's not just a one thing strategy. There are plenty of strategies. There are plenty of successful people who have bought assets and accumulated wealth. There's an abundance of resources around this. It is up to personal responsibility to go, yeah, you know what? Like Coel said, there is blood on the streets. The markets are volatile. The markets are scary. The world's a scary fucking place. Well, how do we make it less scary? How do we get in front in these recession times or whatever the fuck they're going to call it? You've got to take decisive action. You've got to decide that, hey, I don't want to be in this reality. I've heard someone talk about this before. I've listened to this podcast. The boys are talking about, when there's blood on the streets, go and buy. 100%. Yeah. Get into action.
Yeah.
The best time right now is the best time that you're ever going to get in your generation, people. Don't worry about 2008 global financial crisis. That was just like to get us ready for what's going on now.
Exactly.
A lot of people, more billionaires were made out of the 2008 crisis than ever before.
Correct. So if you need some reassurance, just look back. Just look left, as they say in the charts. Just look left.
Look left and zoom out.
Look left and zoom out. Maybe it's time people zoomed out on the actual life, so to speak. Zoom out and look and open up your peripheral. Because the thing is people are so laser focused on what's 2 feet in front of them, but they can't see it. It's 2 feet in front of them, but they still can't see it. Zoom out on the charts, look left, zoom out on your life, and then you can actually see what can become a reality for you in the next 5 to 10 years and beyond. So that's really what I focus on. And as we said, if I was to recap here or do some sort of recap or however you want to put it, go to the outcome, like a business, reverse engineered. You want to know what your outcome is. You want to know where you want to be. Okay, you want to know what your financials look like, and then reverse engineer it back.
Yeah. I think a good way to sort of take this into the close as we do this, I've got one more little bit. Make sure you check out Wildman Revolution on visual if you're not watching this live. Cole's a good-looking man, as are all my guests. Please go to YouTube. Link will be down below. It is on all Spotify and the like. Check out the links below for that. Also to the Telegram group, as I spit out my the Telegram group. It's a small, intimate tribe where you can come and talk to me directly. The link for that will be down below as well. And all of the places you can find Coel will be down there. The last little bit, precious metals. You're a fucking precious metal fanatic. I love it. But why?
It's a fetish.
Oh, no. Is this linked into open my abundance vortex?
Yeah, pretty much. Look, to be honest, I just, I've been in the space for a while in terms of the network marketing space, but I just never thought in general that I would work with a physical asset product. And it's become something that's just like, it's just like we said earlier, it's liberating. It's something that's so easy and people understand. People understand gold and silver. See, they know it's a good idea, but they don't know how to do it. They don't know where to buy. They don't know who to trust, and they don't know what to buy. They've got no idea. So what we do is, it's about education. We provide the education for them to make sophisticated, well thought out decisions not based on emotion. And like Steve said to me earlier before we started the podcast, it's like, dude, like I had no idea. I was just going to buy bullion. Somebody told me to buy it. I was like, I'm just going to buy bullion. I didn't know about collectibles. So how I look at it and how I explain it to people is, again, it's important that you do this on a regular basis. Most people say they're going to do it, they don't do it. They sit on the fucking fence. They say they're going to do it. I come back to them in 2 or 3 months and they say, I say, how much ounces of silver and gold have you got? And a lot of the time it's, I didn't get round to it, or something come up, or life got in the way, right? We're always going to have these challenges, but we need to put our wealth on autopilot. The facts don't lie, right? Smart, long-term wealth accumulation strategy. Okay, and that's basically, the focus of what I help people understand so they can make better decisions. It's like, if you just accumulate slowly, right, it's not going to be so overwhelming, right? And over 12 months, 24 months, you'll find yourself, starting to enjoy that process, because it's meant to be fun. It's not designed to be, I've got to stack more assets. You know what I mean? Who's going to get bored of that, right?
Exactly, yeah. I am so grateful that you pointed me in the right direction, and I have been really well educated now on stuff that I didn't know and I thought I know. And I know some great people that, again, I had a broker friend who's like, yeah, I could just go to him and buy some bullion, but just learning some of the things about the non-reportables, what drives value too, around some of the numismatic and collectibles and stuff like that. And it just opened my eyes. And I'm nearly 12 months into my accumulation. I'm literally just automatic accumulation. It is fucking easy. It is awesome. And before I know it, I've got a stack of assets that I have no intention of even looking at to sell. Like they're going to river in 20 years' time. And it's going to be so easy to accumulate. It's the same strategy. That chart I showed on the screen before, who gives a fuck that was Bitcoin? The same shit goes on with most asset classes. Some are going to disappear in the next couple of years, but it's definitely not going to be the one that is most well known and trusted, precious metals.
Now,
that is only going to get bigger.
I want to shine a light on this. I want to shine a light on these two asset classes. So gold, number one asset by market cap globally, $11 trillion, right? Physical, I'm talking physical, $11 trillion, right? And then you've got like things like, you got like, Alphabet, which is Google, and you've got like Alibaba, and then number 7, silver. So why would you not, this is a question, why would you not want to stack and accumulate the number one asset and the number 7 asset by market cap in the world? I don't know. This is because people don't have the education. They need the education.
Yeah, and that's without even bringing in the synthetics and the futures trading and the bullshit numbers they put up, where they're storing it. Who knows where Australia's gold is? Who knows how scarce it really is? That's the numbers they're telling you. So it's probably even more fucking valuable.
We might go into that on the next podcast.
Especially silver.
We might go on that on the next podcast.
Yeah. Nah, it's like with anything. I see it a lot. People say they want to get ahead. They say they want to grow wealth. They say they want to live in abundance. They say, but they are so incongruent with their actions to match what they say that they are 5 months down the track. Well, how's your strategy going? How's what you said you were going to? Oh, yeah, I haven't done anything about it yet. And the one you use, the line you use triggers the fuck out of me. Life's just got in the way. What? Life? What? Tell me what's good in your life. And then generally what will come out of people's mouths is what's wrong. But this is the thing that needs to change. And maybe today is just enough social proof or enough wisdom from Coel to go, oh, fuck, this is on repeat. Why do all these people keep saying this? I know this. Maybe it's time. What would you say to them people that are sort of sitting on the fence with making big decisions right now? That's all we're talking about here. That know that now is a time. I'm not going to say a good time, the right time. And now is a time that they've got to, if they want wealth or legacy for their family or something, now is the time to fucking act on it. What would you say to them people now that are sitting on the fence?
Well, I always like to, speak from my own experience. And I was one of those people that always said, I'm going to do that, or I will do that, and never applied it. I was a procrastinator. I was a procrastinator as part of my personality. I've got a bit of a yellow personality. I'm very outgoing, right? And I understand when people say that to me. But what I do understand is that a lot of people aren't willing to create that change because they're not willing to take the action. So generally what I ask them, I don't say to them, because nobody really likes to be told what to do. We learned this in sales. This is, it's important. Nobody likes to be told or sold. Okay. The facts are is that, I educate them and ask them key questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Paint the picture for them. Because a lot of people don't even think about that, Steve. It doesn't even come into their mind. They're like, I say, just imagine this. Just sit. Just let this marinate in your mind, right? What if you made the decision, right, to start stacking assets now? And imagine what it would look like in 5 years' time. Picture that in your mind. And I sit on that and I say, if you don't make these key decisions now, then where will you end up in 5 years' time? So take them there, pull them back to reality, and talk to them and reassess. And it's important for the audience that are watching. It's like, this is the lesson that I learned. It's a hard lesson. It's I wish when I was first exposed to certain things, and I won't mention them, there's certain things that I was exposed to back in 2016 or 2015. I was, oh man, I should have got involved with that project, and I would have been a millionaire by now. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yep.
You can't look back like that. Reflection is about reflecting back and understanding. That was part of my journey. I learned something from that. Now I need to come to the present. Yeah. Prioritize the future. Past, present, future. That's something that people don't focus on. Look back at your past. Reflect back on your past. Look at the key things that you've learned or the mistakes you've made. Take the positives, pull them back to the reality now, and then look at how you can build now and create a better future.
Some wisdom to finish off. And there's so much more of that. Thank you so much for today, brother. We again, this is just like us recording a chat that we have. I think we're on repeat sometimes when we have our private conversation, because we learn by teaching. We do, and we resonate on many things. We agree on many things. I think you're a bit heavier into the precious metals world than I am. Yours is a fetish. Mine's a passion. And I think I'm a bit more into Bitcoin than you are. So, but it's been good value today, brother. And I think, yeah, we'll definitely have to do this again, and probably even again, because there's not one strategy. There's not one piece of advice or guidance that is best for everyone. There are numerous things, because let's face it, we're all different. We're all different humans. We've got different backgrounds. We've got different belief systems, different programming. And I think the more value we add, the more opportunity we give for people to empower themselves to go, yeah, I'm going to run with that. Yeah, that resonates. That feels good, and fucking go for it. Because that's all I want to see from people. I want to see people winning, men and women both. Wild men of the world. It's one way. Again, I touched on it earlier. The marketplace, the fucking markets, they are the wild for some people. I know they get myself and Coel excited. Not only going fishing and hunting and all the things that we also do. Great to have you on, brother. Any last words?
Oh, I mean, I could say
before you die.
I could say a lot of things, but basically, like, I will be on again and again and probably again. But like,
dollar cost average you into the show.
Just remember, guys, consistency is the key. Just be persistent in your approach. No matter what strategy you take on board, just be persistent. Give it time. Give it a little bit of time and just see how it plays out. Don't go in, try something and then change, and try something and change. It's a recipe for disaster. Be persistent in your approach, and just give it time. I'll finish with that.
Thank you, brother. This has been another edition of the Wild Man Revolution podcast. Please like, subscribe, leave a review, say some kind things about Coel or Steve, or nasty things. It's all welcome. We're wild here, and check us out on the next episode. Bye.
I can hear the demons call when they do what they do, and now I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's